A lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. I'm Mike Grindele, Trend Networks. I'm VP of Sales for North America. Yeah, thank you for that. Nice, appreciate it. We have some guests with us as well from Trend Networks. So over here in the New York Yankees hat. Oh yeah, Paul Walsh. Trend Networks, Trend Networks. See, it even fooled me. It even fooled me. So Paul Walsh is our CEO. He flew over from the London area, from Heathrow, where our global headquarters is. Dan Barrera is in South Carolina. Technically, right outside Charlotte. So Dan is our global product development manager. So Dan and his team decide what the tools look like, how they function, what they do, what they don't do, what we're going to do next. Dan also sits on the TIA and ISO committees. So what's coming down the pipe? What do you guys need to be ready for in 5 years? What do we need to start working on now so you're ready for it? So pretty smart man right there. All right. I'm going to talk to you today about the Trend Networks product basket, but I'm going to kind of group them in a couple different ways. Hopefully it'll clarify a little bit. A little bit about Trend Networks. We have not been Trend Networks for very long. We started out as Trend Communications in the 60s. We were picked up by Ideal, and we acquired WaveTech, then picked up by Ideal Industries, and then we became Ideal Networks division of Ideal Industries. And then later we split off into our own and became private equity held. We are now based out of the UK with our global headquarters there. We are really coming on to America. I want to say starting in 2019, there's some history there. Before I came, it was more with Ideal, but as far as Trend, this is where we're really starting to hit our stride. We're taking market share left and right. We are the fastest growing company in our space by far. We're number one in many European companies. We got a ways to go in America, but we are getting there, and we will continue to take market share. The thing I like about this company, one of the things I like, is we're not forcing you to upgrade. We're not saying we're going to end of life this thing and quit calibrating so you have to upgrade. We're driving innovation into the market. We are driving new tools and features and benefits so customers say, wow, I need that as well, right? And that's what I like selling. So that's what we're doing. We have 12 new products in the last couple of years, and we have more coming. So just another view of that. Well, actually, let me go back a little bit. When you think about Trend Networks, Trend Communications, we acquired WaveTech, LANTech, FiberTech, SignalTech, Navitech, and then we were Ideal Networks. So Trend Networks and the tech family of products, okay? A little bit of a recap here. Yeah, exactly. We had the foresight. Like I said, Dan looks 5 years into the future. That's why we did that. We knew we were going to be with you guys, right? So again, from the 60s, actually in December 2018, that's when we split off from Ideal Networks or Ideal Industries and became our own. Then in March 2021, we actually changed the name to Trend Networks. It's one thing to be a separate company, but if you're Ideal Networks and Ideal Industries, people just couldn't tell us apart. So we went ahead and just cut the cord. We made a couple of acquisitions, had a lot of new products, and we will be talking about these soon. Enough, not tonight though. Okay, again, global. We have offices all over the world, sales and support. Our office in North America is in Rockaway, New Jersey, and it's a full-blown North America headquarters office. So we have sales, support, finance, inside sales, operations. We have a warehouse. So anything that you need to run the company, we have out of Rockaway. Calibrations as well, which also 2-day turnaround time on calibrations for your copper. Yeah, we offer loaners, but most people's like, well, why? We haven't used the loaner yet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so exactly. So, and the last thing I'll talk about Trend before I get into the products is our brand promise. This is really key to many of us in the company. Paul and I and several others, Dan, we worked on this for months to come up and get it just right. It's just a couple of key icons, but for us, it means, it's our core values. We stand behind our products, period. If you guys have a LANTech 2 from 1990, whatever it was, and it needs to be calibrated, send it in. We did hundreds of them last year. If you guys have a LANTech 3, we're on the LANTech 4 right now, bring it in. Let's fix it. We will never, ever force you to upgrade. As long as we can get parts for that thing, we're going to repair it for you. And as long as we can calibrate it, we're going to calibrate it for you. There will be some time when you can't buy a $9,600 baud modem anymore, whatever. And we're going to say, we can't get the parts. But until then, we're going to work with you. When that does happen, we're going to give you a 30% discount to upgrade to the latest and greatest. So if you have a Landtech 2, it's like, okay, it's on this last leg, or I need fiber, I can't do the PoE measurements with it. You can trade that in. We'll give you a 30% discount. It's our lifetime promise. So, on the new product on that family. Okay, not on any new product, but yeah, the new product in that family. Yeah, you got to try it. You got to try it. Typically, when you look at our tools, we think about these are the copper testers, these are the fiber testers, these are the network testers, security testers, PoE testers, right? We have a really broad range of tool, and therefore we compete with, company X over here and company Y over here, but nobody has the breadth of tools that we have. So here's where I'm going to shake things up just a little bit. Instead of talking about copper, fiber, network, PoE, and camera, I'm going to talk about verification, qualification, and certification. There's 3 distinct categories of these tools. And what I tried to show on my graph here is that the validation really overlaps with certification a lot. Validation also overlaps with qualification. There is very little overlap between qualification and certification. We get asked all the time, hey, I need to certify to 10 gig. You can't really do that. You can certify to 6A, you can certify to 6, you can shoot 10 gig worth of traffic, to see if it gets there, but you can't certify to 10 gig. So this is what I'm going to spend some time on, talking about the differences between these categories and what they mean. Okay? So first of all, let's talk about the verification. When you're in verification, it's basically, does pin 1 go to pin 1? Speaker wire, can I run the speaker from this thing? So do I have continuity on these cables? Then you go down just a little bit, or up in money. Then you can talk about, start getting the opens and distances, length, open, shorts, cross pairs, things like that. But basically, it's all about continuity. When we talk about qualification, can my network support the applications, devices, and speeds that I need? Okay, so I need to put data on my network. This is live network stuff. And it can be just on your cable. It can be just on copper and fiber. But now we're on a network, and can the network support the devices that I have? When we get into certification, we're talking about, does this cable conform to TIA standards? So TIA Cat 6, 5E, 6A. I mean, there's Cat 8 and things like that. Has anybody done a Cat 8 install or seen one? You raising your hand? Nice. Well, yeah, can you tell me about it? I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's there were very few actual Cat 8 installs. Our certifier, when we talk about that, does go to 3,000 megahertz. Why 3,000? Well, if you guys ever do satellite coax, for example, it runs at what frequency, Dan? 3 gig, that's right. So we can do certified coax cable for satellite TV if you need to do that. But also, of course, Cat 8 goes to 2,000 megahertz. So we can do 2,000 plus, right? Okay, so let's dive into verification a little bit. Can I get from point A to point B? That's all I'm worried about. I'm blind to TIA standards. I don't care about Cat 6. It's just, can I get basic continuity? When we do that on fiber, can I get light from point A to point B, not just signal, right? And there's a couple of tools we can do, look at there. And then, like I said, some of them you get advanced, you start getting into distances, opens, breaks, and things like that. So what I'm going to do here is kind of go through our tools in these categories, and then I'll do like a mock demo, if you will, of the kind of high-end tool in each category. And I'll give you the pricing as well, and I'll tell you the differences between the 2, or the 3 or 4, whatever it is. If you want to see specifically, we have every tool set up at our booth. Come by, we'll find the right tool for you, basically. Okay, so in our tone and probe, it's the tone, that is the basic continuity tester. If you can set a tone on this signal on this end and probe it out on this end, you're getting continuity, you're getting data, you're getting signal over there. And then you have the visual fault finder. So this goes up to 5 kilometers with a visual red light. So if you have a break in your fiber, can you see light on the other end of it? You shine on the wall. And if you have a break in it, you will see it glowing here or the macro band, right? So it's basic continuity testing, checking for fiber. When we get in up a level, up a little bit in cost and functionality, now we start looking at not just the entire, one pin one. Now we're looking at, the pairs and is there an open, is there a split, is there a short anywhere in these? Do we have split pairs? We can do advertised link speed in some of these. And we don't care about 5E, 6, or 6A. They're just looking at, end to end. Here's a sample screenshot of a type of a verification tester. So you see on the top end, you see the pins. Shield is the first one, then 1 through 8. On the bottom end, that's the remote end of your wire. And you can see if you have shield to shield, 1 to 2, 2 to 2. You can see 6 and 7. You have you're shorted out there. 8 is open. We can show you split pairs, things like that. These are the type of tools that are cost effective enough where anybody touching cable should pull one of these out of their backpack or whatever and look at their wire end to end. Make sure when you put those connectors on that you clamp down pin 8 as well. These are the basic level of tools that you need. Okay.
Red team had 2 wire nut faults in their route. So
okay.
Basic thing that if you have a verification tester, you can check for that before you measure it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done. So here's the tools that we have in this category. So again, I mentioned our tone and probe. And we have our VDV, video data and voice. So we have the coax port video, data RJ45, and voice we have an RJ11 on it as well. Okay. So the VDV2 on the far end, it lists for $185, and I went ahead and put your TEKFest discount right below that. All right. So for $157, you get that basic continuity pin to pin. You go up to $289. Now we have a capacitive TDR functionality in there. So now we can tell you what opens and shorts. Opens and length. Thank you. Okay. Then you go to the Pro, and now we have TDR. It's a little bit more expensive technology. The price goes up to $425, and now we can do opens and distance to opens and. Thank you very much. Also, when you get to this model, it does link detection. So whatever the speed or whatever the switch that you're attached to, if it's advertised in 1 gig, we're going to show you that. If it's advertised in 10 gig, we're going to show you that. We're not testing it. We're not saying prove to me that you can run 5 gig or 10 gig, but we are saying here's what it's advertising for us. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, here's what it told me it can do. Then the Cadillac of this class is the PoE Pro. So this one does everything the others do, but now if we detect voltage on the line, we say, oh, okay, so there's you're a PoE device. Okay, well, what class are you? Class 8, 7, 6? So we interrogate the switch. It tells us what class it is. Then we say, prove it. If you're a class 6 switch, you should be able to give me X voltage and X wattage. I'm going to draw that just like a camera or anything else would, and you better be within the minimum or maximum range. And if you are, great, I'll give you a check. If you're not, I'm going to give you an X. I don't know. Class 4 is supposed to be a minimum of 25.5 watts or something like that, perhaps. I don't have them all memorized, but the tool does, right? And so that's all I need. The cool thing about the testers, all those VDV testers have Anywhere Cloud. That is super cool. For that price, you simply hold the save button on the tester for about 2 seconds. It pops over to your phone. It automatically increments. You can use your phone's camera to take a picture of your work. When you're done, you hit the sync button on it, and it goes up to the Anywhere Cloud. Anywhere Cloud, we'll talk about that more later, but it's free. It's built on Microsoft Azure. We can back up, failover, redundancy, unlimited report storage, and reporting. So if you're going to touch a cable, if you don't report on it, it didn't happen from a customer's eyes. If you're going to touch a cable, hit save for 2 seconds. Give your customer a report that says, yeah, I saved this. Okay? So how does that work? Here's a little mock demo I'm going to do for you guys. So you download our Trend Anywhere Cloud app. It's free. It's on a Google Play Store or iOS. And once you do, you open it up, and Bluetooth connectivity, it's going to find all the Trend devices that it can see within its range. Okay? So in this case, I see 4 devices. If I click on this top one, which I know you can't read back there, but that's the PoE Pro, click on that one, it connects to this device up here. Okay? So once I'm connected, I can run a test here. If I hit the save button right here for 2 seconds, it pops over to my screen looking like that. So I'm good to go. Once it's on my screen, now I can look at it in a full iPhone or Android, whatever screen, have a little more real estate. I can show you some things in color and nicer views here. You can put cable info, whatever you want. We'll automatically increment the last alphanumeric character in there. And then in this case, I've detected PoE. I'm giving you, we're running on all 8 pair. I'm giving you the negative and positive, and I'm giving you the voltage on each. I'm telling you I'm connected to a device that supports Ethernet and PoE at 5 gig speeds. I found 802.3 AF, which is plus.
The standard, or that's AF is the first, the original.
Okay.
12.9.
Okay. We got 13 watts, 55 volts loaded, and 56 volts offload. That's a lot of information from a couple $100 tester. And to get that on a report, awesome. So how do we get it on a report? You go to your jobs down here, and you have these, if you have LAN techs, things like that, this looks familiar to you. You hit the upload. Now this is Anywhere Cloud. So now you have all these results here in, I did my Texas Rangers World Series. All these results here for the VDV PoE Pro. I can click here into the device. So here's now I'm on the cloud. I can start looking at, here they are. Here's the results from last month's project, 6 weeks ago, whatever, it doesn't matter. And again, since I'm using my phone, I might as well use the camera and take a picture of what I'm looking at. So just another one showing PoE. And let's say on this one, we want to run a report. Click your report button. There you go. So we give you, there's not a lot of data here. We're not certifying the cable, so we're just giving you pinouts and stuff. So we put two cable on each page of the report. But, pretty nice report to hand to your customer. Not only we were there, not only we did our job, but here you go. We can give you full pinouts and so on and so forth. So again, we have some accessories. On these, you can buy these kit of 12 remotes, or you can buy 24. You can buy coax. These are just primarily identifiers. So if you want to put them around in the various offices and do some pinouts, not pinouts, but cable identification, you can do that as well. And that can go in your report. So for $157, you get a report that looks like that. I'm sorry, I exaggerated there. That report had PoE stuff on it. The $157 tool does not give you PoE. Okay?
Still get the wire map and the photo.
Yeah. Not bad. So that's what I call validation, verification tools. Moving on to qualification. Okay, so now we're taking a step up. I have $2 signs now because now we're getting more complex. We're getting a little bit more sophisticated. The components actually cost more because they're doing more. So can my network support the speeds and devices and applications that I need? You might go out there and have to install, pick a number, 25 cameras on a network, doesn't matter. Is the network going to error out? They want to go at 4K resolution. Can the network handle that? Are you going to be running on old Cat5e cabling? Do you need to upgrade the cabling? All this stuff you can go out there and try and see if it happens, or you can use a qualifier to go out there and say, well, hey, let me put this load on the network before I do this job. And then I can go to my customer and say, hey, we're good over here, but over here we're going to have to upgrade the cabling to 6. You want a Wi-Fi 6 access point. There's a lot of data that thing's going to be handling. You got a Cat5e run. Not going to happen, right? We might be able to multi-gig. We can talk about that later. But it just gives that notification up front. We also have tools that can just plug into a port. How many times have you been out to a network? Is this port active? Can I get out on the network on it? What switch am I connected to? What slot or port am I connected to? Can I ping a key device? Can I get to it from here? Maybe what VLAN I'm on. So we have qualification tools that can plug into your network just to tell you about the network that you're on. So if you're trying to program a camera and all your cameras are on VLAN 20 and you plug into the port, you're on VLAN 40, not going to work, right? So just having that visibility, we have tools that can do that. So let's talk a little bit about those tools. When we get into qualification, again, we can do this on just a dead piece of cable, copper or fiber, end-to-end dark. Can I run 10 gig over this cable? I don't know. Can you? We have tools that can do that for you. Or you can also run these through run them through a network. You can go in copper, out fiber. Can I get 10 gig or 5 gig or 2.5 gig or 100, whatever, through this network? Can I simulate 120 voice over IP sessions? Can I web sessions, video conference is huge right now. Everybody does video calls now. So how many video sessions can my network support? So you can put a specific number on there, or you can say, can my, what's the maximum number of cameras this network can support? So we have tools that can do all that for you. So let's talk about this. First one I'm going to mention is our Securitest IP. So this is a security camera installer's dream. This is a Swiss Army knife for everything a CCTV installer has. We have anybody in here who has Securitest IPs? Nice. Yeah, okay. Thank you. So we can power a device, power a camera from our device. So you can just plug it directly into it, turn on PoE, boom, there you go. So that's a direct connect. We can plug into a network that has your cameras on there, and looking at the protocol, we'll identify them all. They'll be on the left side of your screen. Tap one, and you can do on-viv connectivity to it, or you can go web connectivity to it. Once you're connected to it, you can pan, tilt, zoom, focus, whatever your camera supports, and get it exactly the way you want it. Then you can take a screenshot of what that camera is showing. Then you get a report. So when you leave this job, you give your customer a report that says, here's the camera. It's in a garage. You wanted to be able to see that elevator, that license plate, and this stairwell. Here's your 3 pictures, totally in focus. We're good. It has all the camera information, the model, the make, the firmware version. It has all the networking information, the IP address. It has all the job information from the customer that you're working with. Then it has those pictures below it.
And also what's important is the frame rate.
Yeah.
How many frames per second, the data rate, the MAC address of the camera, IP address of the camera, firmware version. So, if someone's getting a really choppy picture at 10 frames per second, the report says, well, when I installed it, I was getting 20 or 30 frames per second. So it's kind of like, it worked then, so now it's a service call instead of, a warranty call.
Yeah. And no pressure to be doing this with the guy who designed it in front of you. Cool. Anyway, no, keep going, Dan. Anything that you can add to it, I appreciate. Okay, so, and you get a nice report on those as well. Question? No. Securitest is not on Anywhere Cloud yet. Paul, you want to address that one?
It will be.
There we go.
That's just my main question, because right now we have to upload it to the Dropbox or whatever.
Yeah.
Anywhere Cloud we love.
What you could do, so on the tester, it has a browser built in.
Yep.
So you can log into Anywhere Cloud from the browser, and then take the folder that has your PDF reports. So you could make a job in Anywhere Cloud, and take the folder that has your reports and zip it, and then just attach that zip file to your Anywhere Cloud folder. Okay. So essentially, it's like a Dropbox. You can use it like a Dropbox, but use that web interface as long as you have Wi-Fi connectivity to log in, and then attach those files to use it like a free Dropbox.
And Paul, do you have it on the roadmap, Paul? Like any idea when that will be a feature built into it?
You do. The difference with the Securitest is it's video footage. It's going to chew up that heck of a lot more bandwidth. So I'd say maybe the next 12 months, but we just got to get that one right. I mean, our core strategy as a business is to have every single test that we make on the cloud with a common user interface. So that you're a company that's expanding and growing, which a lot of our customers are, you may start with one product, and then you may move up to a certifier and so on and so on. But you're getting all of your data in one place, and the people know how to use the test and know how to use the cloud. So at some point, even our phone Pro is on the roadmap to be cloud connected and do wireless testing. I'll have to kill you all if I tell you too much.
Special Forces Paul. Okay.
The secret part, the fact that it comes with the tone and probe, the probe on that using the security test as a tone and probe is probably one of my favorite tools.
Yeah.
Like, it's so powerful.
Thank you for that. It does come with a digital probe in here, right? We have other tests that we put in there. So we have cable testing that we put in there. So you want to look at your printout on this thing. We have a port on top and a port on bottom, so you can do cable testing. Network test, can I ping? I mean, simple stuff, right? But, can I get to the right devices from here? Can I get to my network video recorder from here? Let me ping it. Let me see. We have HDMI in and out, so you don't have to carry a monitor with you. If you think of something that you need to install security cameras that's not in this, let us know, because we think we got it all. Okay. Next one, Navitec NT Pro. I got a range on this one, and that's because we have like a basic, a plus, and a pro model. So depending on which one what you need, determine which one you need to buy, of course. But this is the one where, again, I call this a port tester. So you plug it into the network, and it says this port is good or it's not good. I can get out to the internet or I can't. I can ping devices or I can't. I'm plugged into this switch or this slot, or tells you that. I can do tone and things like that with this one as well. I can do the hub port blinking, and I can get a report here. So all of our tools that I'm talking, if it doesn't do reporting, I'm going to tell you. So far, the only one I've talked about that doesn't do reporting is the tone and probe and the VFF, the visual fault locator. Okay. So again, a very professional report coming out of that one. Next up, we're looking at double-ended now. So this is a Signal Tech series. So we have Signal Tech CTs, NTs, 10G. So it's a series. It's a family of products. But when we're talking Signal Tech, key is we're putting signals on the network or cable, and we're using two devices. So we're sending it to one, and that device is receiving it. Did I get it error-free? Great. I'm going to send it back to you. So I'm going to do bidirectional. That's key when you're doing network testing. And then I can tell you that, yes, I can run X number of cameras, or I can do 1 gig or 10 gig or 2.5 gig. This network or fiber or copper can support that. Okay? So that's what that tool is for. Again, qualify. The Signal Tech family still is a Signal Tech 10G. So it does the same thing that the NT does, plus it does it at 10G speed. Well, it does it at 2.5, 5, and 10G speeds as well. And it's a newer tool, so we've added some more features and functionality into it. Has built-in Wi-Fi, and this connects automatically to anywhere cloud. These two over here, the Navitec and Signal Tech 1 gig series, they have a phone app that you download, and it connects to your phone app, and then you send it up to the cloud. Kind of like what I showed earlier on the PoE Pro. Okay? So let's go into the Signal Tech 10G. Again, there's your discount, guys. Let me just back up a second. For $6,000, you get copper, fiber, 10 gig, reporting, qualification, simulating X number of cameras. That is about roughly half the cost of a certifier. This one, I just want to show you what I think about this. So when I'm doing Signal Tech, when I'm doing bandwidth testing, I want to do it end to end. I want to look at, I want to send data from one side to the other, receive it, pass, fail, errors, frames, whatever. Then I want to send it back to the other side. That is a good network test. That's transmission testing. We typically think of bandwidth testing when we think of that. The other way to do this is looking at a signal to noise ratio at key frequencies. And if your SNR is in check at these key frequencies, it should then run at 2.5 gig or 5 gig or 10 gig. Should, right? We're looking at one end of the cable. And as your signal, I don't know if you guys can see that. I was pretty proud of my graphic, but it's attenuating down. Yeah, thank you. I worked on that for 3 days. Anyway, as it's a single-ended test. There is a picture on the internet, not us, and I wish I could find it again, of a device like this that says 10 gig, mangled over here on this end. Absolutely mangled. right? So it's blind to that end. So when you're looking at something like this, we can say, yep, we've got that. That's a check. We definitely tested that. We can say, yeah, it should. And it's a really good representation. If it passes those SNRs, it should run. So we can give them a check there. We're sending it, we're receiving it on this side and sending it back. I can say my remote in is fine. This one, I can't. I'm literally blind to the remote in. So if you're going to use a tool in this category, do yourself a favor and test both ends before you say, yes, we can absolutely run 10 gig on that. Okay? All right, so in this tool, for those of you who have LAN techs, the concept of jobs is in this one as well. It's in our PoE Pros, it's in our Signal techs. So in this tool, when we say a job, we can run individual tests. I can simulate the cameras. I can do a PoE load test. I can do a cable test. I can do a fiber link loss test. I can do a net scan. All the devices on the network. Tell me the IP and MAC address of them. There's a ton of different tests I can do. I can also set each one of those up as a job. So every time my technician goes out there and hits test, it's going to run these 9 tests that I told him to run, or these 4 tests, whatever it is. So you can have them go out there on a 12-port switch, 24-port switch, and just hit auto test and keep going and run that full battery of tests every time. All they have to know how to do is plug it in and push a button, right? So we try to make it super, super easy on them. So quick demo here. So in this one, you just hit the analyze button and you come up with this list of tests that you can run. There's other ways to do it. So this is kind of a mock demo, but this is one way I'm going to show you. So in this one, I'm just going to do a cable data test. That means I'm not going through the network. I just have a piece of cable and I want to tell my customer that, yes, I can run 10 gig on this piece of cable I just installed. I use Cat6 or Cat6A or Cat6A. I use Cat6A connectors. I've got everything right. And I literally went through and I have this thing set up where I ran 10 gigs, send out over 8 million frames, and I got them error-free on both sides. I was able to send and receive it. That's a qualification. A cable manufacturer is going to say, hey, that's cute. They don't care, right? They're not going to give you a warranty on that. We didn't check for near and crosstalk or, we didn't check for any of the 17 things. We passed data back and forth. Okay, so I can set this up in the settings for, I want to run 2.5 gig or any. What's the maximum I can get? I want to do specific frame sizes. I want to do, if I drop 1 frame, fail it. Maybe, not a big deal. I can drop up to 10 frames or 1%. I can set all these parameters if I want to, right? So I can prove that I can run 10 gig on that network. This one is kind of the bread and butter of this tool. This is the max throughput test. So in this tool, in this feature of this tool, this is one where you can just say, okay, maybe have Cat 5e cabling, and you do want to put one of these Wi-Fi 6 access points in. That is you're going to have a bottleneck at 100, right, at 5e speeds. So let's look at that cable and see if we can get more on it. If it's a good install with a lot of headroom and it's short enough, you might be able to get 5 gig out of that. You're probably going to get 2.5 gig out of it. 2.5 is going to be plenty for a Wi-Fi 6 access point. So now, instead of replacing the cable, which can be very expensive, you can put a multi-gig switch on either end, and these switches will start talking at 10. Nope, can't talk. Let's talk at 5. Talk at 2.5. Okay, let's go. We're good. They'll sync up at 2.5 on 5e cable. So now you just replace a couple of switches. When you do end up replacing that cable down the road, your multi-gig switch says, oh, now we can connect at 10. Cool. So it's a pretty cool investment. And it's a good way to get more bandwidth out of your existing copper cabling. The stuff that we put in the ceilings, that's pretty expensive stuff to rerun that, right? To put a couple of switches on each end and you're good to go, and you can more than double your bandwidth. You can do that with this tool. So what's the maximum bandwidth I can get from point A to point B? I can run this for 10 seconds to 30 minutes. The other one I ran, I could run it for 10 seconds, I think up to 1 day if I wanted to. And then when I look at my results here, I can see these are different frame sizes that you can't see in the back, but I checked. I sent them both directions at all these different frame sizes, and I can, if I wanted to, look at each one individually. I can click on the different frame size up here, and I can see. For example, at 64 bytes, I did run at 10 gig speeds. But at 64 bytes, those are very, very small packets, and there's network overhead associated with each frame on your network. Frame check sequence. There's the packet is the biggest part of the frame, but it's not all of the frame. So you're running at 64 meg, we're really only getting 7.6 gig throughput, even though we're running at 10 gig, but the data is 7.6 gig. If I was to click over to 1518, this 7.6 would go up to 9 point something. Yeah, yep. Okay. All right, next one. I'll just give you one more example on this tool. There's a bunch of them. This one's our CCTV data test. So I also have video, VoIP, web, cable, custom, uptime, throughput, and many, many, many more, okay? So I have a job to install 150 cameras on a network. I can plug in, send 150 cameras at this codec, at this resolution, go. I can run that for 10 minutes or a full day, okay? In this one, I'm going to, oh, and you set the resolution. What resolution, what codec. And here's the thing I was just talking about here. So once you get ready, hit test. There you go. You're either going to get green or red. You air it out or you didn't, okay? So now we know with confidence that we can support the cameras on here. I don't think anyone in this room, but I have done Signaltech 10G demos from my home, and I do a bandwidth, a maximum throughput test when I'm on Teams. I'm using TeamViewer or remote control. I'll talk about that in a minute. And all of a sudden, you know, my Teams dropped and my remote control isn't working. Like, well, yeah, I just flooded my network with 10 gig, right? So anytime you put traffic on the network, you get a little warning, say, hey, just to make sure you're about to put some serious traffic on your network. You guys good? Hit OK, and off you go, okay? So this one, we went in at 720, 1080, whatever, and we got the green light, so we are good to go. This has onboard PDF reporting. What that means is you can just print a report right there, stick a USB in the side of it, give it to your client, off you go. Great. Or I like to, well, before I do that, I mentioned TeamViewer. This one also has full remote control capability into it. So TeamViewer is a third-party app. It's not Trend Networks, but we built it into our operating system. So you can, with a phone, computer, tablet, Mac, it doesn't matter, get the TeamViewer app and then remote into to take full control. Your screen looks exactly like this. And whatever you do on your screen, on your phone, they see over here. So you could have some junior tech, if you wanted to, who doesn't, hey, this is failing, boss. I don't know what's going on. Hang on, let me take a look. You don't have to be in the same building, city, or state with them. You pull out your phone, team view into it, poke around a little bit. Here's what's going on. And he sees what you're doing, so it's great for on-the-job training. Okay? So I like to sync. So we go back to our home screen, we hit sync, back to that same Anywhere Cloud. Now that I'm in the cloud, I can drill into each one. And so here's that cable data test that we ran. Pretty simple, and I know you guys can't read that, but basically it says I ran cable data, I ran it at 10 gigs. It's that stuff that I was seeing on the screen that I was showing earlier, just in another view here. Dan mentioned the fiber length and loss testing. All right, and I mentioned reporting. So once you're in cloud on any job, whether it's from a PoE Pro, a Signaltech 10G, or a Lantec, right mouse click report, and you get some really detailed reports to hand over to your customers. Right, so depending, like I said, you can run 9 things every time you hit test, or more or less. So these reports can get very, very long. So keep that in mind. And also, if you run this one for 10 seconds, this one for 15 minutes, this one for whatever, it's going to take you 10 seconds and 15 minutes every time you hit auto test. Right. So this is not like a cable certifier where there's a specific standard, a battery of tests that we have to run to say check. Right. This one you're kind of telling it what you want on your own. Yeah, so, okay, I'm going back to it right here. So when I first mentioned on the qualification screen, I had the standards. IEEE 802.3x does not equal TIA Cat 5, 6, 6A, so on and so forth. In the qualification, we're measuring gigabits. That's what we're looking at. In the certification, we're measuring megahertz. Okay, so on this one, I have now that we're going into certification, we're looking at TIA and megahertz. Before, I was talking about IEEE and megabits. Okay. All right, so certification. And we are getting to the end here. So on this one, this is where you say, okay, I need to certify because my customers specifically said, I want you to certify to Cat 6A. I want a manufacturer's warranty report. We're going to turn these results in, and your favorite cable manufacturer, whoever that might be, let's say Vertical Cable, is going to give you a 25-year warranty. What is Vertical Cables? Is it 25? 25. Okay, nailed it. All right, so they're going to give you a 25-year warranty, but they will not do it off of a qualification report. They want to look at all the frequencies they need to test there. So that's for copper. Fiber, there's Tier 1 and Tier 2 certification in fiber. Tier 1 is going to be your optical loss test set, OLTS, okay? And that gives you, basically, it's a distance and then in dB loss, okay? Tier 2 is an OTDR. 90% of you in this room, I imagine, probably use an OTDR for troubleshooting, finding distance to events in the fiber. You have a splice, you have a break, you have anything. An OTDR is going to give you the distance to those events, okay? And OLTS is blind to it. It says you shot this much power in, I got this much power out of that side, it's this long, yes, passed or failed, okay? What I didn't realize is that Tier 2 by itself doesn't exist. You have to have Tier 1 certification to get Tier 2 certification. But typically, you only hear about Tier 2 certification in the Amazon, the Apples, the Googles, and Metas of the world, right? The big, big boys. Most of the time, we buy OTDRs for troubleshooting. I'm not really going to talk about the OTDR in this one, but I will say this. Our OTDR is about this big, user interface designed by Dan. It's simple to use, guys. It's about $5,000 for a quad OTDR. I mean, made in North America. Yeah, made in USA. Right, so with all the trend support, people typically have one OTDR because they're $16,000, $14,000, $12,000, depending on which one you get. And you have one in the office and you ship it around as emergencies as needed. We tried to make one small enough and cheap enough where every project manager could have one in his bag so you don't have any downtime on the job. When you need it, it's there, okay? So, yeah, quad, multi, and single mode. Or we have just single or just multi-mode. All of you guys are familiar, I assume, with permanent link and channel when it comes to certification. I wanted to give a little bit of a commercial here because there's something new that's coming out, and it's, I don't want to say it's new, but it's becoming more prevalent. It's when you have to put an RJ45 on the end to plug directly into a camera, access point, or video, whatever, that is called modular plug terminated link, MPTL. And when you get something like this, you look in your bag and say, oh, well, I've got these channel adapters with a female. I must just plug it in here on this end and permanent link on the other side. That is not true. When you're testing an MPTL connection, you're testing it for 5E, 6, or 6A. Just like your connectors that you use are 5E, 6, or 6A, same thing when you're testing MPL. You have to test that connection. You have to go inside the adapter to test that connection. A channel adapter starts outside the adapter, right? So to do an MPTL test, you've got to buy specially tuned 5E, 6, or 6A MPTL adapters. We have a couple at the booth. We're more than happy to show you, but most customers will never know if you use a channel adapter. If you try to turn that in for a warranty, though, they will not accept it. Okay? So, and these, again, the reason why there's one for each is because there is nothing, if you were to look at a 6A install and you grabbed a 5E connector, it's not going to pass. Same thing with MPTL. That's quite all right. Quite all right. Who was that? Okay. All right, so let's talk about our certification tools. Our Lantec 4S, this is our, yes, I'm Trend, but I know all the other certifiers out there very, very well. Right now, this is the best certifier money can buy, period. Amen. It is the newest, it's the fastest, it's the most technically advanced certifier. Our web interface with Anywhere Cloud, we put a ton of development time into it. Dan has a team that works on that. We want to make it slick. We want to make it not just a repository. When I was with my previous company, we basically said it's a USB stick in the sky. because that's all you did, right? I mean, you brought it down to do the reporting. No, we want to give you, you should never have to bring it down. If you want to manipulate the data, let's make that happen. Let's make that easy for you, right? So we put a ton of development in this. When we came out with the land tag, just the design of it, the way the modules snap on is very thoughtful. The design of the permanent link adapters using 4 twin acts, very expensive, and we don't pass it on to you, versus regular permanent link adapters, making them more durable. There's a ton of things that we put into it. We try to think it all through. One of them being VisiLink. On our testers, when you plug them in and you make connection, you get a blue light that says I'm connected. So even if it's loud and you don't hear the tester twerp at you, you see visually. You hit that button again, so you're up on a ladder and you're climbing in and trying to get one up here. Your tester's down here. You don't climb down the ladder and hit test. In the VisiLink, you just press that button. There's a button on it. You press it, and it runs the test for you. 7 seconds later, it's done, regardless of what standard you chose. You move on to the next one. Take it by itself. It's a flashlight. So you're looking under a desk trying to find a cable ID. It's there for you. So we put a lot into this thing when we designed it. And again, I mean, yes, I know we're in a blue shirt, but you cannot buy a better certifier. Okay. FiberTech. So single multi-mode for TEKFest pricing is just over $5,000. For the multi-mode and single mode combination, $9,000. Single mode only is somewhere in between there. I want to say it's about right under 7. More expensive optics. Okay, but you can buy a FiberTech kit that snaps onto your LANTech, and now you can do Tier 1 fiber certification with that as well. They all come with these blue, nice hard cases. Again, Dan designed those, and the zippers behind them. They're really rugged and great. I mentioned, again, our FiberMaster, made in America. Get a multi-mode OTDR for $2,700. Not bad. This one, the 7591, that is our quad, so multi and single mode, with all the launch cables, a visual inspection probe, and adapters. You know, it's a full-blown kit that you guys would want out there. Okay, and then we have our Anywhere Cloud, which I talked about a few times. It's free, unlimited reporting, unlimited result storage. It's Microsoft Azure, used by the Fortune 500 companies. Backup, failover, redundancy. You can bring our results down to your server if you want to, anytime. No big deal. We have customers that don't. Microsoft does a better job of backing up than I do, right? So you can just leave them up there forever if you wanted to. So let's do a quick demo, and we'll wrap this up. We can build jobs on the unit itself. In this case, I'm going to just build it in the cloud. So I'm going to go to ANSI TIA. I'm going to go Cat 6 plus PoE. I'm using vertical cable. And I build a job in the cloud. It's that easy. It's a couple of clicks other than typing in, select your customer. So once I have the job in the cloud, I then go to my LANTech, and I just created a job called TEKFest24, and it's not on my LANTech. So if I hit my sync button on my LANTech, it's like, okay, there we go. I went and grabbed TEKFest24, and I downloaded it to my LANTech. So you guys can design the job in the office, and it could be a huge job where you have a team of 12 techs going out there to work it, and they could all download the same job. And you guys filter floor. You only look at floor 1. You guys got floor 2, and you filter it. So those are the only things you see. You sync up, and they all just magically appear in the right places. It's pretty cool. Okay, so now we've downloaded the job. When we hit test, yep. So we test, and again, 7 seconds. In 7 seconds, regardless of how you set up, we go ahead and test all the way to 500 megahertz. So you could set it up for 5E, and other testers might stop at 100 megahertz. We go ahead and go all the way to 500. Just in case it wasn't 5E, it's supposed to be 6A. We already have the results. You can just apply a new limit to the result set in the cloud, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, and you're done. We were supposed to take PoE measurements. Go back out there. Not with Trend. Go into your cloud, say add PoE measurements to my result set. Does it pass or fail? If it fails, you have to go out there and fix it. But if it doesn't fail, fantastic, you're done with a couple of clicks. Huge time saver. Okay, so I'm testing, and let's say I'm down in the basement. I can't get to 5A for whatever reason. I have no cell phone signal in the basement. My other guy's 3 floors up. So what we can do, instead of walking 3 floors up, we swipe down, we come up with a shortcut menu here, and we simply make a phone call. We're calling the other end. We just need 2 wires connected. They don't have to be a pair. 2 wires connected, we can make a phone call to the other end. Say, okay, hey, skip this one. Got it. Okay, let's move on. So say we're continuing testing, and now one failed. I can't figure out why it failed. So I have to call Chris. Come out to the job site, help me out, figure out what's going on here. He's going to say, no, Mike, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to team view into your unit. So let me open up my phone, launch team viewer. Okay, now I'm seeing what you see on your screen. Let's dig into, this is a wire map. I should have come up with a better example, but I don't have a lab like Dan does. So I look in here and say, okay, you failed here on wire map. And your total distance, you're like 31 feet, but at 17 feet, you know, something on that brown wire's busted. Okay, so let's go fix that. Great, thank you. It could have been nearing a crosstalk. It could have been something more complex. We have to drill in. But in this example, it was wire map. So fantastic. Thank you, Chris. I'm moving back on. You can go back to your golf game. Sorry. Supposed to be Cat 6A. So what do? You go back out there and retest. With ours, I'm going to filter here. I'm going to build me a filter, and all the B cables will go into Wi-Fi 6 access points. So I've got a 1,500 drop job here. I don't want to look at all 1,500 clicks, so I use my filter function to here's the ones I want. So I'm now looking at my B cables. I'm going to select them all, recertify, and again, I already have the data. So let me go to Cat 6A now, recertify. Now I get all these RCs. I don't delete your original. I'm not going to take that liberty. I want you to delete your original. But I'm going to drill into one of these now. Now you can see my limit line. It's the same data set down here, but my limit line goes all the way to 500 megahertz, and I think it drops because it's a little bit tighter tolerances. Yeah, exactly. So in a couple of clicks, I just saved somebody from going out to the job site. Okay. Now I've got all these nasty RCs. This is RCs in ours, but it could be I did a job. I did floor 1. I set it up myself, and I did data-01. Dan set his up. He did data space-space. Paul set his up, did data:01, whatever. Right? So I get a report. It's like the same customer, and it's all out of whack. With other solutions, you right mouse click, and you change each one manually. With ours, you select, filter on all the RCs or the space-spaces or whatever you want. Hit your edit button. Say, you know what, replace all this with whatever I have there, POE something. So I just did a global find and replace. Think about Microsoft Excel, find and replace. Doing that on a cable job. Now all your cable IDs are pristine, everything looks good, your report looks final, fantastic. But you know what, I really should have split this up into a data panel and a wireless access panel. That's fine. Come in after the fact, right mouse click, add a panel, and I added cameras, data, and WAP on this one. Organize it like that. It's going to come out in a report like that. Right? So I never downloaded this to my PC. Kept it up in the cloud the entire time. So let's go ahead and create a report. When you do this, you can check this, and you can there's an email button right here. You can email this to your client, or here's what it looks like. You just download the report. I like to do a summary report that does length for myself because I bid, 28,000 feet or whatever. And when I give you length, I'm going to total up all the certified cable. It's not including your scraps, whatever, of course. So it's going to be, call it 26,000 feet. Is that good or bad? You decide as a manager, right? But if you bid 28,000 and your terminated cable is 32,000, yeah, not good, not good. So it helps you. You can put that on the report or not. Okay, so I'm going to do a very quick analogy here. So if you think about, so we are truly wrapping up. If you think about a highway being designed, okay, this is designed, look at how well the traffic's going to flow if we design it this way. Then you get to your, even our Texas Department of Transportation said, you know what? Yep, that's going to work fantastic. We come over here in reality, that is qualification, guys. In reality, we're putting data on the highway. It's not working. You got too many trucks, right? So that would be, actually testing the roads. And then finally, bridge is out. It's continuity, verification. You cannot get there from here. Point A to point B does not exist. So that's it.